Okay, cliffhanger there. All right, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm excited for today's talk. First of all, thanks for PyTorch for hosting this event. And now are you serious? Okay, it works. I'm not touching it. I feel you, Robert. Yeah, thanks for PyTorch for hosting this event, and thanks for PyData for having me. It's actually my first PyData conference, and then as speaker, so it's an honor to be here. And the topic for today is Langchain, which is an LLM framework, which you can get the full potential of LLMs out of LLMs with Langchain. And yeah, but before I start, I'd like to introduce myself. This is me, and this is my picture. And here are some facts about me. I studied Mechatronics originally at Hochschule Mannheim, and I focused on artificial intelligence in my master's. And originally, I worked in the CV area, so I did a lot of pedestrian detection with LiDAR and radar data, and this was also my master's thesis. And yeah, originally I wanted to do a PhD afterwards, but then I got stuck in building stuff with value, and this is why I joined Snocks, because I saw great potential in the company and in the e-commerce bubble, as I say, and especially with LLMs, which I work nowadays mostly. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's an open playground for AI, and this is why I'm excited about it. And yeah, some personal facts about me. In my free time, I'm a triathlete. I do a lot of swimming, cycling, and running. Yeah, so far so good about me. Okay, this is our roadmap for today. First, I'm going to give a small introduction, what Langchain is and why you guys should use it and why you should play around with it. Then I'll present some features of Langchain, which I think give the most value for companies or for your personal fun or your personal interests. And then I'll provide some example applications which we use at Snocks and which I think every company can use to leverage LLMs. Then I'll give a short summary, and then we'll have the Q&A. All right, let's get right into it. What is Langchain and why should you use it? Basically, Langchain is a framework which makes the work with LLMs, with large language models, way easier. So basically, you can think about Langchain as a connection between the LLMs and the outside sources, which could be Google, which could be Wikipedia, which could be your own docs, which could be like Notion, and yeah, basically it makes the connection between these two parts or these two sources way easier. How does an application including Langchain look like? You would have a normal front end, could be like Streamlit, or it could be a normal React front end, which we have at Snocks. And then you have the Langchain framework or the Langchain application between the front end and the large language models. And basically every function in Langchain is to make the LLMs more accessible. Right, then one could say, why do I not simply use the open API? And that's basically a valid question, because the API is just fine. You can use it for simple prompts, and I think every one of you has prompted ChatGPT before, and this is the same with the API. If you have a simple input-output problem, then just use the open API. But I'm going to demonstrate in a second where the value of Langchain is with a simple example, and then you'll see why Langchain is so good and why I'm so excited about it. Okay, let's switch. Okay. Can you see that? Yeah. Nice. Okay, I've prepared a little Jupyter notebook for every feature I'm going to present in the first, what is it called? I don't know. In the first cell, nice English, you have the basic imports, and then, am I in the right? I'm not in the right notebook, I'm sorry. Basic imports, like I said, and then this is what you would do for the normal ChatGPT API or GPT API with a little helper function, which is called chat, and then you return the response. And of course, this is not too complicated, and it works just fine. Like I said, for the simple question, tell a joke for AI scientists, it works just fine. And this joke is pretty bad, so let's move on. And in Langchain, in a nutshell, is that it's just way less complicated. So you can see you can do the same thing in just 2 lines of code. So and of course you could argue, okay, why does this provide value? But you can imagine the more complicated the problem gets, the more value Langchain can give. And this is what I want to demonstrate in this presentation. Okay, then let's jump back into the presentation. You can see it again, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, features of Langchain. There are a lot of features, too many to handle in this presentation. This is why I want to focus on prompts and how Langchain handles prompts, because I think that's a pretty good touch point, because everyone has prompted for GPT, and this is a good entry point. I want to talk about chains, agents, and combinations with tools, and then the vector store integration of Langchain. Okay, let's start with prompts. And yeah, like I said, for basic prompts, just use the API. And but for more complex prompts or even dynamic prompts, Langchain provides a lot of tool sets which make the work just a lot easier, which I'm going to demonstrate in another example, which I prepared for today. Let's see. Here we go. Now we go into this. No, that's the right one. Okay, this is basically, after the normal imports, this is basically the same thing which we did before. We define a prompt, and this time it's an e-commerce, because I'm biased. I have to use e-commerce examples. So here you can see we should write a product description for boxer shorts from Snocks on Amazon. And yeah, after a short waiting time, and this is what the LLM provided. It's not that important right now, but this is where it gets interesting. And you can believe me, if you would do dynamic prompting with standard strings and standard variables, it gets messy pretty fast. And you can see we have 4 input variables. So we have the text type, product, brand, and marketplace. And we can dynamically access these with the template and the prompt template, which we get from the template. And then all we can do, or all we have to do, is define our text types, products in lists, brands, marketplace, and so on, and loop through them. I'm not going to run this right now because it's expensive, and it takes some time. That's the bigger problem right now. And then you can iteratively just produce a lot of text really fast, and it's not that complicated. It's just these few lines of code. And I think that's pretty amazing, and we use that all the time when building our tools. Yeah, and that's, I think, a good entry point on why Langchain provides so much value, at least for us. Okay, so far so good. Let's jump back to the presentation. Here we go. Okay, next I'm going to talk about chains. I'm only going to talk about LLM chains because I haven't worked with the other chains. There are a lot of chain variations in in Langchain, but I only have worked with the LLM ones, and I don't want to talk here about anything I don't know. So this is why I'm going to stick to LLM chains. And a chain is basically a wrapper around different components of Langchain. And because there's, what does it mean? It means basically that you're combining different LLM calls and actions automatically. So I'm going to demonstrate that in another example. Here we go. So imagine a world where you have to give a PyData talk in 1 week's time, and you have no idea what to talk about, apart from an introduction, a structure, which you have gotten from ChatGPT. Definitely didn't happen for me. And yeah, then I thought I could build something with a chain, which helps me out on that. So I have my basic structure here, and then what I do is I put it into a template, and I provide the template, or I give the template the structure, and then that's what I did before. I create an LLM, I create a prompt template, and then I create an LLM chain. And this LLM chain gets an LLM and a prompt template, and the output key is improvement. So basically what it does, it gives me improvement recommendations for my structure. So this is the first part of the chain, and the second part of the sequential chain will be another LLM and another template and another chain also, which takes these improvement recommendations and puts them into my structure. So it implements them into the structure. And this is how you can optimize concepts really fast. And we at Snocks have a tool which creates concepts for us with dynamic inputs, which we can choose. I think that's pretty amazing, and this is a light open source version of that. And what I do next is I put the two chains into the sequential chain object, and then the two chains run after each other. So, and then I run them in a loop, and then, as you can see, it goes through the iterations, and then in the end I get the better structure. So, and you can like extend that. I'm going to talk about vector stores in a minute, and you can I could every time a new iteration starts, I could like feed another snippet of the Langchain documentation in there to get more input into the model and more knowledge into the model, and so refine the structure even more. And yeah, or you could integrate an agent, which I'm going to talk about as well. Okay, then this was everything about chains. Back to the presentation. Okay, yeah, vector stores. Does everyone know what a vector store is? I think we're in a good environment for that. Okay, good. Basically, what Langchain does, it makes the combination of LLMs and documents very easy with their own vector stores integration. And this is actually my favorite feature of Langchain. And I'm going to show why, because this is basically the go-to application. And this is, I think, also the reason why Langchain was founded in the first place. Because they wanted to do stuff like that. I'm going to show another example. Jumping back. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we have some input, which is our input data, and I'm only going to show this part of the input, which are basically some questions our finance department would ask. Like, that's arbitrary questions which our finance department could ask. And this is basically our, oh shit, didn't want to do that, sorry. yeah, and what we do is basic here, and we load the text. Oh, why doesn't it work? Love it. Okay, now it works. Thank God. Got nervous. Okay, and then we split them into chunks, and we embed them like in a vector embedding, and it doesn't work again. Now it works. I don't know what's wrong, believe me. And yeah, we embed them using the OpenAI API, and then we load them into a vector storage using Pickle. You could use any vector storage. We use MongoDB, for example, or you can use Pinecone, whatever you like. But I think for this demonstration, this Pickle dump function is just fine. And then we can, of course, load it again, create a prompt template like I showed you before. Yeah, this is where it gets interesting, basically. We create a retriever object, which takes the LLM, the chain type, and then the vector storage as a retriever. That's important. And then what we can do is we can query the vector storage with a similarity search, and over the LLM we can ask the LLM questions, and it answers based on the knowledge in the database. And this is like, I think, what provides the most value in Langchain, at least for us, it does. And I think that's pretty amazing if it would work. Why doesn't it work? I don't know, I'm sorry. It worked this morning. I'll try one more time. Otherwise, I'll move on. Does not work. Sorry, guys. Okay, then I'll move on. I'm sorry. Okay, next. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about are agents in combinations with tools. Basically, what agents do is I've shown you chains, and I remember what agents do by thinking about chains that are undetermined. So if you have a chain, then you know what to do next, but an agent can make the decision on what to do next. And this is, from my opinion, pretty amazing. And basically, agents are in this area here, right here, and they make the decision on when the LLM needs information from an outside source, or the LLM makes the decision on when it needs information from the outside source. And I'm gonna show another example. I hope it works this time. Okay, it's a pretty short one. Okay, here, agents. Again, the imports. And then all we have to do is instantiate another model. And we have a tool called math. It's the LLM math. And it's basically a tool which can do calculations. And we initialize that. And then what we do is we initialize the agent with an LLM. And with the agent, there are multiple agents. I just use this one here. You can read the documentation if you want to know everything about the agents. It's not that important right now. And then we ask it, how are you? And now are you serious? Ah, now it works. Okay. Demonstration error. Love it. Okay, moving on. What the LLM should do here is recognize that this is not a math question, and that it doesn't have to do a calculation, and does not have to use the tool. And it does it perfectly. So it answers, I'm doing well, thank you. So you see how the agent works. And then The next thing is we ask it what's 100 divided by 25, and then you see the LLM thinks, and it sees, okay, I need to calculate this, and the action is it uses the math tool, and then it calculates it. Of course, the LLM could have done it with the API as well, but if you have more complex calculations or more complex tools like Google search, or there's even a Wolfram Alpha integration for Langchain, which is pretty handy. And yeah, I just wanted to make clear how agent thinks, and I think this example is pretty cool for that. Okay, so far about the features. No more examples today. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to talk about the example applications which we use at Snocks, and which I think are pretty handy for almost every company which sells products or which has data. And I think the most commonly known example is the personalization, which I've talked about a little before. And it's basically you have a user on the left side which has a question like in ChatGPT, but the model not only knows what ChatGPT knows, but it also knows what's in your vector database. So you could basically, what we did is we took our Notion, for example, and we put it in the vector storage, and then you do a similarity search, and you can ask it questions about the company or about anything if you have the data for it. And this is quickly implemented in Langchain. I think it took me like 3 or 4 days. Of course, then you have to do front end and stuff, but the core application is pretty fast implemented, and it gives a lot of value, more value than I thought, because if you take, like, we are 120 people, and you make everyone like 2 or 3% faster because they don't have to go through Notion every time they have to find something out about a company. That's a lot of value, and I think that's a pretty nice and pretty simple application you can build with Langchain. Okay, the second thing I came up with is a notification system for customer reviews. So everyone that sells products could use this. So basically what you have as an input is customer reviews from, let it be Amazon, or let it be your own portal, or let it be like via letters or whatever. And you take, oh no, letters wouldn't work because that's not digital. Big brain here. Okay. Yeah, you take these customer reviews and you put them into the vector storage. Like I said before, you embed them using the OpenAI API, and you put them into a vector storage. And then what you do, you make some prompts on finding out the most important information you need for example, here for the product development team, and you summarize it using another LLM, which is pretty basic, but for the product development team, it's a huge step because they spend like 30% of their time, not 30, let it be 20% of their time looking at reviews, finding out what the next product should make better, or what's the best feature for our customers, which we definitely should stick to. And now they get a weekly report on what they should implement or should not implement in the next product, or what they should make better with the current product. So I think that's pretty cool. And then also with Langchain, this was pretty easy to implement. And the last example application which I have today is a bit more advanced, but I think it's again pretty clear. So you'd have a Excel or CSV. For example, in our use case, it's an ad report. So the performance of ads from Facebook, for example, and you put them into a data frame, pandas data frame, and you have rules for optimizing ads. So we have some some rules internally, how our performance marketing team optimizes ads. And this could be in any channel. And then what we do is we put them into Langchain. We initialize a pandas data frame agent, which is basically an agent working with data frames. And there you can get a lot of information out of these data frames. And what we do is we extract the KPIs, like our KPIs, which you want to track out of the CSV. And then we use our rule embeddings, which we put into a vector storage, combined with a chain for optimization recommendations. So you get like, when you combine these three things, like the KPIs, the optimization recommendations, and the rule embeddings in an LLM, you can get action recommendations. So you can like have the, for example, make the ad spend higher on this product or something like that. And then we have our users or our performance marketers look over that, and then they submit it or they decline it, and then we can directly upload the updated parameters to our ad portal, which is, again, this was a bit more work than the other two, but I think it's still pretty simple. Of course, there's a human in the loop, so it's not automated because it's for us it was not possible to do, or for me at that time because I was alone back then. Yeah, but I think it's a pretty nice thing. Okay, I'm coming to the summary. First, I said that Langchain is a framework which makes the work with LLMs way easier. The prompt templates make dynamic prompts easier for you. And I talked about chains, and yeah, I told you that they are a wrapper, and you can like add them together and make like these chains of actions and LLM calls. I talked about how Langchain has its own integration with vector storages, and how you can leverage that to, for example, build a chatbot. And I also talked about how you can use agents for decision making in an LLM, or like decision making on when to call different tools, and use Langchain as a connection to outside tools, or between the LLMs and outside tools, if you can say so. Okay, and I showed you a few use cases, but believe me, there's a lot more, and I encourage you to try out Langchain and work with it, because firstly, it's a lot of fun, and secondly, it gives you a lot of, or many benefits for you, and I think also for your company. All right, thank you. That's it from me.
All right, we now have time for a couple of questions. Maybe it would be a good idea to start by switching on the lights. I think that looks like a switch. Awesome. Hi, there are a lot of people. All right, are there any questions in the room? Yes.
Just a quick question about this nearest neighbor approach. Wouldn't that create a bias towards like individuals that don't have a neighbor because they're kind of individual opinions? Someone says, "Oh, this product is crap because of X," so it would cluster all the similar opinions and the.
To be honest, I can't tell you anything about it because it's it's implemented in the Langchain library, and I just use it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just a hunch. I wouldn't know.
Maybe you can talk to the founders, or you can contribute and challenge it.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's just a hypothesis.
Okay.
Could be completely wrong on my side too. Yeah.
Never thought about it. I'm sorry.
Sure.
All right. Are there any more questions?
So do you only use Langchain and the possibilities in there, or did you also think about like combining an LLM maybe for some other classical method? For example, use an LLM for feature engineering, and then use the features for a classical machine learning model later on, or maybe would be maybe the same thing, but to have a custom tool for Langchain, so not only the Wikipedia tool or calculator tool that is already provided.
You can build custom tools. There is a class for that, and we're definitely planning on using that. I have not played around with that because I started at Snocks like 4.5 months ago. And now at the moment I work on the quick wins, and this is with text and the campaigns and all the I say standard LLM stuff. But my heart, like I said, I come from CV and standard machine learning, and I spend a lot of time with PyTorch, and I say I missed that a bit. So definitely planning on working on that in the future, but haven't tried it out yet.
All right, so to our remote viewers, there are no questions on Slido yet. If you are a fast hacker, then maybe I can get one more in.
Yeah, what was the craziest thing this stuff did, what you perhaps didn't expect? Perhaps why I'm asking, like, I think with one employee that also used such an agent, and the agent, because I mean it basically writes code as well, just deleted the whole folder with all the stuff inside, and it was not revertible. So what did you experience there already?
I wrote an integration for our Amazon API, and I thought I deleted all our PPC campaigns, which is, yeah, for those of you who don't know Amazon, it's a lot of money. So that was a shock, but I only like moved them into a separate folder. So that's what the agent did. And at this moment, I was like, okay, I get a new account and I make it like a test area. And I think that comes close to the craziest thing that an agent has done for me. So take care of you when you're working with agents. So
Thank you.
Any more questions in the room?
So you talked about these tools, and then the agent would choose depending on the input, like, okay, now I need to use the math part. Mm-hmm. Can it use multiple tools in one query? Like maybe you ask it like currency conversion question with math. Yeah. Could it like check, okay, I need to use math, calculate, and then ask for like the Forex exchange rate?
The input for the tools is a list, so you can give it multiple tools. But sometimes if you have too many tools, then it gets confused on which tool to use. So it's, if you have a clear vision of your application, it's better. So you could think like, okay, I'm going to put all the tools in there. Why not? But like if you have a clear vision of your tool, then only use the tools you know you will use. But because otherwise it gets confusing. Then it sometimes doesn't use a tool when it should use it, and yeah, that's basically best practice there.
Any further questions? This is your last chance.
But it's nice to see you guys there.
Sorry about the light, but then let's move on to the lightning talks. Sorry. Good job.